Hey Boomers, this is producer Christian. Today we talk to the legendary head of FC Tucker, Jim Litten. He's been the CEO for a while, and he comes in and he shares a little bit about the history of FC Tucker, and he also talks about where they're going today. Don't miss it.
Oh, it's time.
Do it.
We gotta get the energy up.
This is the Boom Real Estate Podcast. The podcast that shows you how to build an amazing business. So you can build an amazing
No punching.
life.
I will interfere wrestle you.
Boom Real Estate Podcast
You ever been in a fight?
starts now.
Question one. That's awesome.
That was the best one.
Oh, it's a big start to the Boom Real Estate Podcast, everybody. Welcome aboard. It's going to be a ride today. It's going to be a fun time, and we are excited to have each and every one of you with us.
Yes.
Welcome, everyone. Let's see. To my left is Todd.
That is me. Hello,
To my
everybody.
right is Megan.
Hey, hey, hey.
Across the table, producer Christian.
Hello.
Special guest we'll get to in a second. We have intern Zach floating around as well. If you're watching live on Facebook, hello to you. And you will see intern Zach running a boot, doing his thing. So, yeah, good times. I like how the podcast started. Right, I'm gonna protect privacy.
Yes.
But one person that's in this room asked someone else in this room, have you ever been in a fight? And that person said not a word, but nodded their head.
That's a very confident
nice
nod.
smile.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, that means he won.
That means,
With like
or
a-
she won.
Sorry, I don't know.
I'm very tough.
It's very
I have
exciting.
never. Have you guys ever been in a fight?
No, I've
Just
never been in a fight.
siblings. I mean,
Siblings,
we
yeah.
like.
Well,
real-
yeah, I don't count
like
that, though.
golf clubs and fists and broken glasses, but
I mean, that sounds for
Is it-
real.
still siblings.
Is it a bad thing that I've been punched multiple times, but I've never actually punched anyone?
That sounds
I'm
right.
the worst fighter
So
ever.
technically, you have been in a fight,
So
Todd.
I've been on the receiving end of multiple fights.
It's like Mike Tyson's opponents have been in fights, but
Yes.
it's quick and it's over. I think the problem for you is you don't realize you're in the fight until it's too late.
Yes,
true,
that's a
that's
good
true.
point.
But that was many years ago, though. You're
Was,
very
yes,
mature
I'm a very
now.
mature man.
You're a leader and a pillar in the community now, so we're counting on you not to get in too many more fights. But that's hilarious. I love it. Okay, so email us. We want to hear from you and about your fight history, your wins and losses, how many by TKO, things like that. info@boomrealestatepodcast.com. You can see all the action on YouTube. I don't know if you'll find out who secretly said yes, I have been in a fight, but that doesn't matter. And then we have our 7-day crush available. That PDF is
Yay.
available for free. You can crush your next 7 days. Get it for free at 7dayboom.com. That's the number 7dayboom.com. So,
right.
It's
all
awesome.
right.
Get you some of that.
Let's get to it.
Let's get right to
Let's
it.
get right into the action. Okay, so we have with us today Jim Litten. He is the owner and the CEO of FC Tucker Company, which is our brokerage, at least for now. We're going to talk about that in a second because I'm nervous about why he's here today. I'm afraid that he's got some bad news for us, but we're going to talk about that. So Tucker is Indiana's largest independent real estate company. It just celebrated its 100-year anniversary. It's over 1,500 agents statewide, over $3 billion in sales, which is unbelievable. Jim is a featured speaker at the NAR annual convention, at the Indiana Association of Realtors annual convention, all kinds of others. If we went through the accolades and the service posts and positions and things and honors and things that he's won, we would not have a show today. He's done it all. He is the man. Ladies and gentlemen, a great guy, our head honcho, Jim Litten, everybody! Oh, we're so glad to have you here today.
You guys have way too much fun doing this.
Well, we do. We feel like selling homes gets in the way of us just sitting around a table talking.
That's right.
But, so one pays the bills and the other just doesn't. So, but so we kind of felt like, okay, he's coming over. This is a man who's running a brokerage. It's got 50 offices all over the state. It's got 1,500 agents, like I said. He really is a pillar of the community, super important guy, and yet he came here to spend time with the three of us.
Yes.
So we are assuming that you are here to fire us. Is that?
No. But I do want to talk about the commission splits.
Fair enough. That's well played. And he does it in a public forum, so we can't make a scene.
That's
That's good. And he also has now surveyed all of our fight records and realizes he could take each and every one of us because we're a bunch of weenies. But that's good. No, so thank you so much for coming today. We appreciate it.
You're quite welcome.
And
it's a pleasure being with you.
We've already had a bunch of fun talking before we went live on the big show. But we talked about Tucker being 100 years old, which, I mean, the best companies in the world right now are not 100 years old. So the fact that Tucker has been around for as long as it has, and done the business and been a market leader for as long as Tucker has, as you reflect on that, and I know you've thought about this a lot, I'm sure, what do you feel like have been kind of the keys for Tucker or any company to have success for that long of a period?
Terry, that's a great question. You know, in business, there's nothing that guarantees you longevity. And as I look back on my career with the company, and I started 46 years ago as a sales associate.
Yeah.
And I can remember when I first joined the company, I just couldn't get my arms around the quality of the people and the values that the company had. And that started with Mr. Tucker Sr. probably back in 1918.
Okay.
And then it lived on through Bud Tucker, and then when Dave Fred and I bought the company, it's sort of been part of our DNA. And I think if you treat people right, you do things the right way, and you're kind and you're generous to people, and you associate with people with character.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always said organizations that are made up of people with character don't have to worry about their success. They will be successful. And that's one of the things that I'm most proud of, is the character of our people.
Yeah.
And we think it emanates through the whole company. So obviously, as Terry has said, this is our company that we're a part of, which is one reason why we're excited to interview you. Being the leader of that company, we wanted to kind of let the rest of the world know, all of our listening audience, about what made us what we are and how we got to where we're at. But you can see that through all the different offices. You can see that through all the different personnel, the staff. It's that trickle down effect from the top down. And so we do appreciate that and everything you do for us. Thank you.
It's I never envisioned being in the position that I'm in. And when I was a sales associate, I thought I had the best job in the world. I thought, man, I'm getting paid to do this, you know? And prior to that, I was selling ketchup for Hunt Wesson.
Oh, really?
Now, and I was making $700 a month on all the free ketchup I could eat. I mean, that was my deal.
That's awesome.
Although the other thing was good. My kids were young at the time, and that's when we introduced those little puddings in a can.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
My kids got all the
Now
free
you're
pudding
talking.
they wanted.
Now you're talking. That's good stuff.
But when I got in the real estate business, my first sale, I made like it was like $1,300. Well, I thought, man, I died and gone to heaven.
Yeah.
This is unbelievable.
Yeah.
And so, you know, as my career evolved, I ended up doing what I'm doing now. And it's funny. I tell people, you know, if you enjoy what you're doing and you make the environment fun for people, it becomes very rewarding. And in other words, no one wants to work in a toxic environment.
Right.
And there are so many of them anymore.
Yes.
And I'd like to think that our offices, our agent support center, when people come into our offices, it's a safe haven for them. They feel comfortable. They know that they're appreciated and respected and that they're supported.
Yeah. Do you feel like that culture is because the people that are already in the company are attracting like-minded people? Do you think it is people are coming? Is it a hiring process? Is it people come in and they're just kind of suffocated by the culture that already exists? Why do you think? How do you create a culture that lasts as long as it has, but stays positive and that safe haven that you're talking about?
I definitely think it's everything what you've said. I think that, number one, a lot of people come in and they don't really know. They've heard about us. They certainly recognize our brand, but then they come in and it's almost like osmosis.
Yeah.
The way it transfers to other people, and you know it all gets back, you know, to the 4 words on that plaque in our office: judgment, courage, patience, and vision. And those were 4 words that Mr. Tucker, when he started the Tucker Senior Award back in 1970. He said, those are our core values. That's the way we're going to be, and that's how we're going to treat people. And I think that's carried forward. And I think so many people come in, and I think now when people come in, they get to understand what our systems are, what our organization is about, and it does carry on. It just keeps building and building, and I like to. In fact, we had a staff meeting Monday morning, and I told our staff Monday morning. I said, we were talking about hiring people, and I said, one of the most important things once you get past the character issue is what I call likability. And you think about the people in life that you really enjoy being around, or who are very, very successful. When they walk in a room, they're liked. Everybody likes them. They're people magnets, you know.
Sure.
And I think that's what we've tried to create.
Yeah.
Do you see a difference between, so you obviously have a unique position where as owner and president you have to manage not only the agents, but you also have to manage the managers and the people that are the heads of the departments for the company. Is there a distinct difference between those that are in management positions and those that are in agent positions?
No, I think it's the same value system. I think the management team, they know that they exist for one purpose, and that's to support and serve the agent base. Because without all of you, we don't have anything. We've got a bunch of empty buildings.
Right.
I mean, so we've got to be service oriented and have that type of mentality. And you know, we coach the managers on that. I remember, Todd, when you were in management, we talked a lot about that.
Right.
I mean, in managers meetings. And
I think that you just said it, you nailed it, that this is a volunteer army when you're, working with agents, and they could walk away at any point. So you're leading more than just managing a lot, because, you can't control them all the way. But what you guys have done with the environment in Tucker, though it is a big company locally, people come in and they're almost surprised sometimes, I think, that it is so warm. And so, you can go to corporate anytime, and the people, like you said, that are in leadership roles are likable, and you trust them and you know them on that level. And it's just such a very open, warm culture. And then it just kind of trickles down, like you said earlier.
well, we want it to be like family.
Yeah.
We want people to feel comfortable. And, when the company was smaller, I can honestly say I pretty much knew every agent by first name. I knew their spouse's name. I knew their children's names. Well, now, as we've grown throughout the state, I'll be somewhere and I'll be in the airport and someone will say, "Hey, Jim, how are you?" And I'll think, is that Bill from Lafayette or is that Joe from Fort Wayne? I mean,
it's just not, you can't keep up with it.
No, you
for sure.
can't. You really can't.
For sure. That's great though. So I think that's something, Megan talks about the volunteer army. It's something that because we run a team, it's 19 agents on our team right now, and we realize that any one of them could at some point break off. So I think, like, when you talk about coming from a standpoint of service and support, I think that applies definitely at the leadership level. But you instill that in your agents, and then they're able to provide that to their clients.
Exactly.
And that's how it perpetuates itself. So the lesson applies at whatever level you are in the business. So I appreciate that, and I think that's why you'll see the best companies in real estate and out of real estate. They've got quality people at the top, like you're talking about. So that's a really good point. I appreciate that.
Well, and this applies to your team. The speed of the team is the speed of the leader.
Yeah.
And you all are the leadership of your team, and by your enthusiasm, your character, your energy, your creativeness, that's what's propelling your team to these great heights that it's getting.
Yeah.
Would you say that naturally, are you an extrovert?
Oh,
Yeah. I would always say, even like when I was in high school and college, I wasn't the class clown.
Yeah.
But I never met a stranger.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you find being that, so it's probably not as difficult sometimes for some that are introverts or ambiverts or whatever the mix of the two.
I think that's right. Yeah.
But do you find, like, because one of the big things for you is you have to be out and be visible and meeting with people all the time. So you're always kind of on, as we used to talk when I was managing, you're in that fishbowl. Everybody's watching you all the time.
Exactly.
How do you keep yourself motivated? How do you keep yourself, like, because you're so optimistic and you're always like
You
a bright
are.
light in
Yeah.
the room.
Yeah.
How do you keep yourself doing that?
That's just my nature.
Yeah.
I mean, I truly, I enjoy being out with people. Sometimes it gets exhausting.
Sure.
If you've been in meetings starting at 8 in the morning, and your last meeting's at 5 and you run home and put a fresh suit on and a fresh shirt and go back out for a dinner.
Right.
And you're hitting at 12 or 14 hours a day.
Yeah.
That can get exhausting.
Office Christmas party season.
Exactly. But you know what I say to people? Because everyone doesn't always have that extroverted behavior. They're generally shy.
Yeah.
But sometimes we all have to fake it until we make it.
Yeah.
Right.
You really do. And I look at salespeople, whether it's real estate or whatever it is. We're like actors on a stage.
Yeah.
And when we get with the consumer, we've got to be on.
Yeah.
We can't afford to have a bad show.
Yeah.
Because it's.
Yep.
I mean, it's payday that day.
Right.
And I try to tell people when I teach sales training that one of the qualities is you think about I often think about these entertainers that go around and do these concerts, like at Lucas Oil,
Right.
And one day they're in Indianapolis, the next day they're in Columbus, the next day they're in Pittsburgh, and they're on tour for 90 days. They probably wake up in the morning, they don't even know where they are.
Yeah.
Right.
But when the lights go down and the music comes up,
They're on.
they have a good show.
Yeah.
You'd think it's
Yep.
the only show they've had all year. Well, we need to condition ourselves that same way.
Yeah.
We need, to get when we're getting ready to go on a listing appointment with a buyer, or if I'm going to give a speech to an office or something, I've got to get myself cranked up and ready to go.
Yeah.
And be on stage.
Yeah. Do you have any like rituals or anything that you do to get yourself pumped up?
No.
Like listen to a special song?
I know. I was just going to ask him, like, what's your pump up song?
Well, I danced to Rocky a little bit.
There you go.
You had mentioned, so two things in there. You had mentioned being on stage, and then you had mentioned Lucas Oil Stadium. So for those that aren't
Yeah.
local to Indianapolis, Lucas Oil Stadium is where the Indianapolis Colts play, and it also was where we had our 100-year celebration, the centennial celebration. And so you were on stage with Mr. Peyton Manning to bring that in. So
And now you guys are best friends,
yeah,
obviously.
best friends. You
Yeah.
you just play catch every once in a while in the backyard.
Well, I get out and center the ball to him.
Oh, that's a good time. That's a good time.
You got any juicy stuff on Peyton that we can reveal here?
I will tell you, he is even nicer than the way he comes across on television.
Really?
He is a genuine gentleman, very kind, very considerate, and just a neat geek. I mean, you could tell when we were interviewing him on stage, he's got a sense of humor. I
Yeah.
mean, he's a family man.
Yeah.
And certainly he did wonderful things in Indianapolis, not just for the Colts, but
Right.
for our community.
The city, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very
And,
much so.
and we were fortunate enough to represent him when
Yeah.
he bought and sold real estate. So
That's right. You brought
That's
that up.
right.
Yep,
That's good.
Yep. That's awesome. So one of my very favorite things that you do, Jim, is when a new agent comes into the company, you come and speak to all of them, and you make sure that you've been in front of them, which I think speaks volumes about the company and you. And it impacted me. I remember that very first day,
Yeah.
and I saw Jim and I was like, oh, I'm going to show him how great I am, like,
Watch
this is
this,
so
Jim.
great. I'm sold, and but just like that family feel, it's building that environment. But when you go and speak to them, and then we have a lot of new agents that listen to this podcast. What's something that all across the country would be applicable for a new agent that could help? Some things that would just help them be successful, or that you could tell them because you've been here.
well, any business that you're starting in, the first 2 years are the toughest.
Yeah.
And if you think about the attrition rate of new licensees getting in and they don't make it, I would say people have to come in and they've got to have a dream.
Okay.
And that dream has got to be a part of their life, and they've got to write it down every day. They've got to live it, because we all know there's so many things that happen to you in this business that are negative that you wish they didn't happen. But the reality of it is it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And for the new person who's struggling, they get kicked a couple of times when they're down. They may not want to get back up.
Yeah.
And you got to just get back up and go back at it every day. And I mean, all of us have had things that didn't work out. And I always tell people, and I do this to this day, when I leave the office in the afternoon and I get in my car. I don't turn my radio on. I don't return any phone calls. I grade myself for the day.
Oh, wow.
What kind of a day did I have?
Yeah.
Did I have an A?
Yeah.
Or did I get a D or an F?
Yeah.
And if I got a D or an F, I'm going to evaluate why I didn't have the discipline to do what I needed to do. If I got an A, and an A to me would be that I was productive in meetings, I touched some people's lives in the company, I helped some new people, I maybe worked with the manager. I mean, I gave back.
Yeah.
And I made somebody else's day better because of what I did for them. Well, I think if agents get in that mindset of grading themselves every day, what did I do today to generate business for tomorrow?
Yeah.
I like that.
I mean,
That's great.
Yeah.
We're so in real estate, we're so result driven, or a lot of us are so result driven that we're not focused on the lead gen side.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's really where the focus should be, because if you're hitting home runs from lead gen, it results in dollars.
Exactly. And I mean, you think about the real estate business. In Indiana, you got to go to school for 96 hours and you can get a license.
Yeah.
Well, our average agent at FC Tucker makes about the same amount of money as the average internist.
Wow.
Now, they've gone to school,
Right.
half of their life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here, people have this opportunity. Now, granted, everybody's not going to grasp it.
Right.
I mean, everyone doesn't have the discipline and the creativity that the three of you have. But it's a unbelievable. I have always said, it's truly one of the last vestiges of the free enterprise system.
Yeah.
Because you're independent.
Yep.
You can, I mean, no one can tell you that you can't hit it out of the park.
Right.
Yep.
I'd like to see you change the expression when you talk to people from now on. You say like, "Hey, the first and second year is always the hardest year because of where you are as a company. You should just tout it like the 97th and 98th year is always
That's
the
when it
hardest.
gets tough. That's when it gets tough.
That's right.
97.
Well,
Those are always the hardest.
Just like all of you, as a company and as a leadership group, we take our competency test every day.
Yeah.
Every
that's
day.
true.
I mean, we have got to do it right every day, or we could offend somebody. We could have an agent
Yeah.
leave us. I mean, we could have a consumer. If a consumer calls in with an issue, and we are not totally there to help them, we could turn that consumer off. And you turn one off, and they tell 10 people
Yep.
how bad you are.
Right.
I mean, you please one, they maybe told one or two. So.
Well, and time and again, like it throughout, the people that I'm talking with, Tucker has such a great reputation. So obviously that's happening. I keep thinking about your letter grade for today and your choice to come here. That's going to have a negative impact on today's letter grade. I'm sorry about that.
What was I thinking?
That was such a mistake. That's right. That's right.
We're at a B right now. We're working our way up.
Right. Okay, so we talked about this before we turned the mics on, but I want to talk about the market, and I know typically at the beginning of the year you give a lot of forecasts.
Exactly.
We're in about the middle of the year right now. Is when you look out on the horizon, 12, 18 months or so, what are you seeing, and what is your expectation for the housing market in the coming months?
Well, number one, and I know your podcast goes national, so what I'm speaking about generally it would be Indiana statistics and Indiana data. I do think that the country as a whole sort of consistently tracks each other.
Yeah,
sure.
Indiana, right now we're like everybody else in the country. There's an inventory shortage, and our inventory is down drastically.
Yeah.
As I mentioned to you earlier, in 2012-13, there were 19,000 homes for sale in Central Indiana. Right now, there's 4,000.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
And they have always said a balanced market is between 4 and 6 months supply.
Yeah.
Right now, we've got, in some price ranges, we don't even have a month supply of homes. So I think when you look long term, I think the headwind is going to be the lack of inventory.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no question in my mind right now. If we had more inventory, our sales would be up 15 or 20%.
Sure.
Because everybody's running around with buyers, and everyone, and the frustration level right now is extremely high
Yep.
because many of these buyers have written 3 and 4 and 5 offers.
Right.
And over list price and they can't buy a
Missed
home.
out, yeah.
But I mean, when I look at the fundamentals of the economy, the fundamentals, number one, unemployment. Unemployment is extremely low. Nationally, it's about 4%. In Indiana, it's 3.9. Hamilton County, where we sit right now, it's about 3%.
Yeah.
So that's considered pretty much full employment. Wages are going up
Yep.
because the competitive nature of the workforce right now, everyone's trying to hire employees, so they're having to pay them a little bit more. So I see that going up and being favorable. You know, I think the one thing that could be a challenge is what's going to happen internationally with, you know, potentials for wars and things like that. Things like that could set the economy back. But generally speaking, I think the environment is very good for the next 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
I mean, the interest rates might go up a little. The only reason they go up is because the economy is getting so good.
Yeah.
So it's sort of a
Yeah.
good news, bad news, you know?
Yeah, sure.
But the rates can go, I mean, right now they're 4.4%.
Yeah.
They could bump a couple percent, and it wouldn't, in my opinion,
Yeah.
really adversely affect the market.
Well, and you said before we went on that this time last year they were 3.4. They've gone up a whole percentage
Right.
point in the last year, but the market is still as strong or stronger than it was last year.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
we keep thinking that's going to be the thing to slow it down, but it would have to be a significant spike to really truly slow things down. That's,
Well, you know, I was back, and this is back probably before you guys were born, back in the 79 to 1982 era.
Yeah.
Interest rates went to 18%.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, and we had what we called back then negative amortization loans.
Yeah.
Now, what a negative amortization loan was is that the note rate might be 18%, but you paid the loan back at 12%. So there was negative amortization going on your mortgage each month. And we ended up after years calling them neutron mortgages. They left the property intact, but they killed the buyer. I mean, really, I mean, but you know, see, but that's just a case in point. If you think of the real estate industry, all the ups and downs that it's had, we've always been able to survive.
Yeah.
We had to change. We changed the way we did business, but I think smart companies are always looking, you know, as Wayne Gretzky used to, your hockey player, the reason he was so good, because he was always predicting where the puck was going.
Yeah.
Well, leaders in business today, if they don't predict where the business is going and prepare for it, you know, times could be tough.
Sure.
So you as a leader, you as the owner and president of FC Tucker Company, where do you predict we're going in the next 100 years?
When we're celebrating our 200-year anniversary, what's going to be going on?
Well, it's funny you should say that, because yesterday we had our meeting to plan our awards program for next year.
Yeah.
And I said to him, I was teasing the group, and they said, well, we made such a statement at this 100th that we just did. And I said, well, planning the 200th will be up to somebody else.
That's you don't have to mess with it, right?
Maybe I'll have a vantage point from up in heaven or something. You know? And I'll say, job well done, guys.
There you go. That's right. Good stuff. Well, so how people that want to reach out and learn more about you or the company, how do you want them to find you and connect with you?
Go on our website, talktotucker.com, or email me at jim.litten@fctucker.com.
Love
and
it.
I'll be glad to respond to them.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Litten. We want to hear from you. Email info@boomrealestatepodcast.com. Visit our YouTube page. Visit our website, boomrealestatepodcast.com, and get that 7-day crush at 7dayboom.com, the number 7dayboom.com. Until next time, we will see you. We will not fight you because we will lose. We are lovers, not fighters, on the Boom Real Estate Podcast.
Jim, tell the truth. If you had to fight one of us right now, who would it be?
Megan.
She'll wipe the floor with you, Jim. She will wipe the
I'm
floor
a
with
ringer,
you.
man. You gotta watch out.
She's feisty.